I never thought I'd see the day that you get all that you get in the 2020 iPhone SE without breaking the bank. And yet that day is here. I synced it. What's up, YouTube? It's your boy, BMAC. And if this is your first time here to the channel, welcome, thanks for stopping by. Make sure you smash that subscribe button with all notifications turned on so that you never miss another video on this channel. And if you've been here before, or if you're already subscribed, welcome back. So today, we're breaking down this bad boy right here, the new 2020 iPhone SE. And you know what? This thing might actually surprise you. So with that having been said, let's just get right into it. Let's start breaking this thing down, starting things out with the design of the new 2020 iPhone SE. At first glance, the 2020 iPhone SE, Thank God. At first glance, the new iPhone SE is probably gonna look pretty familiar, and that's because it should. The new 2020 iPhone SE is basically the iPhone 8 body, but with some major improvements. It has aluminum matte finish siding, which I actually personally prefer to the glossy siding of the iPhone 11 Pro Max. Just saying. A rounded all glass front and back, and that classic bezel design like you see with all black top and bottom bezels, and of course, that sapphire crystal home button which houses the Touch ID technology. The only other visual difference is that new centered Apple logo, the minimal centered Apple logo on the back, which I think is just sexy as can be. And on top of all that, you do get an IP67 water and dust resistance rating. So, yes, your phone will hopefully last a little longer based on how us humans treat these things. And in terms of colors, the new SE is available in black, white, or red. But next up, let's talk about another feature of the design, but kind of deserves its own category. Let's talk about the display of the 2020 iPhone SE. The new SE iPhone actually comes with a 4.7-inch Retina HD wide color gamut display with a 60 hertz refresh rate. But the brightness is a little bit different. You're dealing with 625 nits of brightness, as opposed to the 800 nits of brightness you're getting on a phone like the iPhone 11 Pro Max. But even at just 625 nits, I gotta be honest, I found the brightness of this thing to be more than okay. I put the two side by side, the iPhone 11 Pro Max and the new iPhone SE, in direct sunlight outside, both in light mode and in dark mode. And to be completely honest with you, I could not even tell that big of a difference. As long as there weren't any smudges on the display and it wasn't too dirty and oily, I could see both pretty much without any problem. Again, even in direct sunlight. So the display, can't really say anything bad about it. The only bummer about the 2020 iPhone SE display, which is kind of connected to the phone itself, is the lack of a tap to wake feature. We do have raise to wake, as you can see right there, but if this were to be on the table, face up, you'll see, if you tap to wake it, it doesn't wake. There is no tap to wake. So no tap to wake, only raise to wake, which honestly, kind of, yeah, it's a bummer. It is a big bummer. I guess I've just become so accustomed to being able to tap to wake the display on my iPhone 11 Pro Max that is just a feature I kind of, I guess, can't live without now. I get it, the idea is since you have a home button, all you have to do is just tap the home button to light up the phone, the display, to wake it, I get that. But there's just something so convenient about literally anywhere on the front of the iPhone 11 Pro Max being able to tap it and having the display light up. Not a make or break decision, but just a feature I wish the 2020 SE had. But where things in this new SE iPhone really start to make a difference is not on the outside. It's what's on the inside, starting things out with the A13 BIONIC chip. The A13 BIONIC chip makes this iPhone. Because of that chip, you're getting better performance, better battery life, a better camera, which we're about to talk about, and overall, just a better iPhone. And the new iOS combined with the A13 BIONIC chip really pushes the limits of what this phone is capable of, especially considering its low price point. Overall, a phone packed with features because of that chip that realistically is making a lot of us raise our eyebrows. Add the 3 gigs of RAM you're getting packed into this thing on top of that A13 BIONIC chip, and all of a sudden, this thing is starting to become pretty capable, high-performing smartphone. In fact, I even ran a few benchmark tests between phones like the 2020 iPhone SE and comparing that to phones like the iPhone 11 Pro Max, and the results were kind of interesting. Based on what I've seen and the tests I've run, the iPhone SE 2020 is not that far off from other iPhones, especially not that far off from the iPhone 11. I could geek out on specs all day, but basically what you need to know. Compared to a phone like the iPhone 11, the iPhone SE has the same chip, same CPU, same GPU, but sells for a whopping $300 less. But the A13 BIONIC chip goes beyond just processing power and performance. It actually affects other aspects of the phone as well, namely the iPhone SE camera system. The A13 BIONIC chip actually improves the 2020 iPhone SE camera without actually physically improving the 2020 iPhone SE camera. We know that the 2020 iPhone SE has a 12 megapixel f1.8 aperture wide lens on the back and a 7 megapixel f2.2 aperture lens on the front. So for instance, as it relates to the cameras alone, the cameras might physically be the same as they were on the iPhone 8, but now because of that chip processing power and that RAM, we get features like portrait mode and depth control, HDR processing, not to mention Apple's insanely good image processing overall. For video, the back camera could shoot up to 4K resolution in 60 frames per second. The front camera, 1080 resolution, 30 frames per second. All of that on a $400 iPhone. So overall, we do get an improved camera system, even though physically, things remain pretty much the same. The only feature that I was surprised to see lacking in the iPhone SE 2020 was night mode. I don't know why night mode is not in this new iPhone SE phone. Maybe that's part of the selling points of Apple's other phones, but I really don't get it. You're packing so much power and so much potential into this phone, bundling it all together for a steal of a price, but you're omitting a feature that this phone is completely capable of. The 2020 SE has the camera for it has the processing power for it. I just don't really see why Apple decided not to include night mode on the iPhone SE 2020, especially considering the camera does fall apart a little bit in low light scenarios. Honestly, a huge bummer for me because I cannot tell you how often I use night mode on my iPhone 11 Pro Max. I use it way more than I thought I would. Anytime there's low lighting, I'm using night mode. The pictures I'm getting in low light are honestly mind-blowing because of night mode. And the fact that we don't get it on the iPhone SE, that alone personally would probably make it impossible for me to use this phone as my daily driver. I know what you're gonna say. There are third-party apps available for download on the App Store to do night mode photos on iPhones where night mode is not built into the native camera app. But I don't know, I've seen them, I've tried some of them out. None of them really come close to the godly image processing power Apple has in their photos these days. Night mode is just killer. Apple knocks it out of the park with night mode, and to have that omitted, it's breaks my heart a little bit. But speaking of that Apple image processing, I gotta admit, some impressive results here on the SE. In a few comparison tests that I shot between the iPhone SE 2020 and the iPhone 11 Pro Max, obviously the 11 Pro Max outperforms the SE, but in all honesty, differences are sometimes hard to spot. At face value, especially when you're just taking photos to upload on social media or to your Instagram stories, you're probably not gonna notice a huge difference in most scenarios. The more you start to edit your photos or the more you pay attention to the results and the lighting and the HDR processing, all that, yes, of course, you're gonna notice that the iPhone 11 Pro Max is of course superior. But once again, taking into consideration the price that the iPhone SE is selling for, not a bad camera system, and honestly, some pretty impressive results. But with all this going on in the 2020 iPhone SE, what is that battery life looking like? How long could you expect this thing to actually last throughout the day? The new iPhone SE houses a battery capacity of just about 1800 milliamp hours, which is pretty understandable considering how light, small, thin, and portable this thing actually is. And in testing, I will say I do not find the battery on the 2020 iPhone SE to be anything to write home about, but it's solid, it's okay. In terms of hard numbers, I'd say a pretty good average number of hours with normal use that you could expect to get out of this thing would be about 8 hours, maybe a little more, maybe a little less. It all depends on the brightness of your display and what apps you're using. Some apps are obviously more battery hungry than others, so it really depends, but 8 hours is a pretty good idea to keep in mind. What's cool about this phone though is that we do have fast charging, a 0 to 50% charge in just 30 minutes, as well as wireless charging because of that all glass back. So you could fast charge and wirelessly charge this thing, which is awesome. That'll allow you to charge up this thing pretty quickly if you are running low on battery. And if you're wondering what kind of adapters to use, how to fast charge your iPhone, what wireless chargers to use, I will be sure to leave a few affiliate links in the video description box below, so be sure to check those out if you wanna upgrade your charging tendencies, habits, capabilities on the iPhone SE 2020. So as it relates to the battery, nothing crazy going on here. Definitely not impressive by any means, but solid, what you would want. you know, you can't really compare it to something that has a beast of a battery like the iPhone 11 Pro Max. It's just crazy the battery life you get out of this thing. But on the SE, not bad. To close things out, we do have some storage options to talk about on this new SE phone. You've got 3 storage options to choose from. You have 64 gigabytes, 128 gigabytes, and 256 gigabytes. And on a device like a smartphone, I always suggest getting as much storage as your budget allows. So I would personally recommend at least 128 gigs on this thing. I don't think 64 is gonna last you very long, especially considering the 4K video and higher quality photos that you're gonna be taking. I just think you need 128. If you don't plan on taking any photos or any videos and you just want this phone for the most basic iPhone needs, then maybe you'll get away with 64 gigs. But for just $50 more to upgrade the storage to double the storage from 64 to 128, I'd say go for that. I mean, come on, you gotta. Well, you don't have to. You don't, I'm not saying you gotta, but I kind of am saying you should. You should seriously consider it. So with all that having been said, what are my final thoughts on this bad boy right here? At the end of the day, the 2020 iPhone SE is Apple's budget iPhone, but probably the most impressive budget iPhone I have ever seen. What the iPhone SE means, it's taking from the other iPhones of the past and present features, hardware, design, things that Apple has mastered over the last couple of years, and implementing them into a phone that they could do so cost effectively to bundle all that into a pretty powerful, impressive package that you get in the iPhone SE 2020. And that is exactly what Apple claims this phone could do. Apple says literally on their website, lots to love, less to spend, and that's literally what you're getting. So all in all, I gotta say, the 2020 iPhone SE is an unbelievably great smartphone for all that you're getting at the low starting price of just $399. I honestly thought the days of seeing an iPhone less than $500, $600 were over, and here we are, with one in my hand. And if you guys are interested in learning more about the 2020 Apple iPhone SE, you guys could actually head to my affiliate link, bmac.link/2020 iPhone SE to learn more, or just to cop one for yourself, bmac.link/2020 iPhone SE, or of course there will always be a clickable link in the video description box below. And if you enjoyed this video, please smash that thumbs up button and do me a favor, comment down below your thoughts on the 2020 iPhone SE. Do you like it? Do you hate it? Will you be getting it? Are you gonna be waiting for that iPhone 12? Leave your thoughts, comments, all that in the comment section below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm gonna go keep an eye on these two, the 2020 iPhone SE and the iPhone 11 Pro Max. Make sure they don't fight, you know, sibling rivalry kind of thing going on here. I will see you guys in my next video. What does the SE in iPhone SE even stand for? I'm pretty sure it's actually like special edition or something like that, but you know what I'm gonna say? iPhone SE. The SE standing for sexy electronic. What? It fits.